How's it going? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about the 5 most important basic plugins that I think every application could use, and these 5 would really make your lives easier. So if you're more of an advanced Bubble user, you will probably violently disagree with this list because you're probably beyond these. But if you're just getting started with Bubble or you're an advanced beginner, these are 5 kind of must-have plugins that can really extend your Bubble app. So the first one is the API connector. So connecting to another system can seem a bit overwhelming if you're not very technical. API connector makes this pretty simple. So all an API is basically something that helps you do stuff with an external system. So if you're using any other hosted platform, you know, like an external learning management system like Thinkific, or basically just about anything, you can integrate it using the API connector. So the most difficult thing with this is the authentication. So you might need to spend a little more time figuring out how authentication works. Most modern applications will just let you set up an API key, and then you paste that key into your Bubble API connector, and then you paste in whatever the URL is that it says you need to call to get data out of the system, and then Bubble will generate and parse that stuff automatically. So this one can really help you with grabbing data from other systems and doing some pretty cool things, and you don't have to be very technical to use it. Next up is Sidebar Menu, and this is definitely the least sexy one on the list here. If you've ever seen that little hamburger menu, that's basically what this is. So when you need to have mobile menu functionality, this should actually be built in. I don't think this should be a plugin. This should just be a built-in element. But it gives you that hamburger menu. You can customize it in a few simple ways, and it saves you a bit of time having to create your own mobile menu and do the formatting and all that type of stuff. Next up, Airtable. Airtable is basically Google Sheets on steroids, and super valuable, especially if you're not technical and you want to be able to connect your Airtable data to your Bubble app. So connecting to Airtable is not as easy and as friendly as using the built-in database with Bubble. But some of the things I do with this plugin is I dump a lot of my stats and things like that into Airtable, because one of the startups that I'm working for, we have basically our CRM that's built on top of Airtable. So now, instead of having to build something in Bubble and in admin tools so other folks can see usage stats and other things like that, I can just post that into Airtable, and then they can do whatever they want with it, which is pretty cool. And it's very, very simple. Airtable gives you a personal key. They're moving to that actually pretty soon. They used to have a different way of doing the authentication. They've moved it to personal keys. So you just set up a personal key, you say what tables this key should have access to, and then in Bubble it's pretty simple. You pick your table and then Bubble will do the rest for you. Next up is the 1T CSV Creator. So Bubble does have the ability to output data into CSV files, and it has some limitations. So if you have a repeating group that's listing a bunch of data and it is actually pulling data from an option set or another thing, Bubble's CSV output won't actually allow you to grab different fields in those related things. This one will. Now, the plugin creator is moving this towards only using JSON to be able to create it. So you do need to be a little bit technical, but the good thing is you could use like Bard or Copilot or ChatGPT to say, write me a JSON snippet that has these 5 elements in it, and you can paste it into this plugin. And the last is probably something that should be built into Bubble. So Bubble is built in using SendGrid. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say SendGrid is absolute garbage compared to Postmark. Postmark is so much better. The deliverability is great. The interface for managing your templates and your delivery streams is fantastic. And this plugin makes it really, really simple to create good looking and customized emails for your users. I use this on all of my Bubble sites, and it's so easy to use. One of the benefits with Postmark is you get the ability to create different streams for sending your messages. So if you've got lots of users, you can use a bulk transaction stream, which basically will chunk your messages up, I think, into I think you can send maybe 100 or 1,000 at a time or something like that. But it's a separate messaging stream, so when you get these hard and soft bounces, it's not going to affect your Postmark deliverability. So you can use your bulk transaction stream for that, and then you've got, your bulk processing stream for that, and then your transactional stream is the real-time things. So when you're setting up these Postmark templates, and maybe it's a user has signed up, or you've got a workflow that sends a note to a user if they haven't logged in 5 days or whatever it is, then it will send these one-off emails using the transactional stream, and you won't have to worry about sending something to 5,000 people and having 100 or 200 of those bounce back, because eventually somewhere you may get flagged as spam and then your connector might get shut down. But with Postmark, you don't have that problem for your individual and important transactional emails. So this one's, again, it's very, very simple to use. You do need a Postmark account, but it's as simple as pasting in the API keys that you get from Postmark, and then creating the templates is very simple. Most of them are done out of the box, and then you just have to pass in what you want the subject to be, who you want to send it to, etc. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the short list. I'm going to do a video on each of these because I wanted to keep this short, because if you are kind of a intermediate no-coder, you could just grab onto these things and start using them already, but I'm going to do a little short tutorial for each of them. So drop a comment below with what you think are the most important basic plugins. And again, keyword there being basic. There are a couple of really good advanced, medium, intermediate to advanced plugins like CSS Toolbox and Toolbox and some of these other things that let you use JavaScript to be able to customize your app. Those might be beyond a typical no-coder who's kind of a point and clicker, but these ones should hopefully save you some time. So remember to hit like and subscribe. You'll get notified as these come out every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday.